This may be the best year yet.
Let's do it.
She's a mom of 2.
She's a newlywed.
A wannabe influencer.
Her hair is iconic. This is your season.
She's just in her season.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, welcome back everyone to another week of the In Her Season podcast. And for the very, very first time of In Her Season, since the podcast has been renamed, I am joined by one of my favorite people on this planet Earth, the beautiful, the gorgeous, my husband, Hayden Mattingly.
What's up, everybody?
Stumbling on your words already?
Yeah, that jet lag is still got a hold of me. I'm pretty tired, but...
Which is the perfect thing to bring up because we have literally just arrived back in the United States after a little over a month abroad.
Was it over a month?
We have to count down the days. It's 30-something days.
Yeah, by far the longest trip I've taken, and you too, right? Other than your study abroad.
Yeah. Other than like studying abroad out of the country, this is like the longest like trip, and that one I feel like is a little bit different because it was like I was leaving for like a purpose to be somewhere. This one was purely like travel's sake.
You weren't studying
honestly.
On this trip. I wasn't either. I guess I felt like I learned a lot just because.
I learned a lot. Yeah, that's a good thing to
but
say.
we weren't in the books by any means.
And so I did my best to kind of like keep people updated via like social media with like adding to my story of things that we were doing every single day, because like people have asked me so many times like, oh, like how was your trip? And I'm like, honestly, like my brief synopsis to tell people is that like every single day we were going to bed just feeling absolutely grateful for like we were like in disbelief even at ourselves. We were like, wow, like we just had another amazing day. Like, how many amazing days do we get back to back to back to back to back?
Yeah,
you know?
I was talking to my dad today, and it was like every single evening we would lay down and just be like, there's no way that tomorrow's going to be as cool.
Like, we were just waiting for the other shoe to drop,
Yeah,
I feel like.
Exactly. And I think we were, probably 27 out of 30 were exceptional, and maybe 3 were great. Like, there was not a bad day, but
No.
27 out of 30 were exceptional, and 3 were like, that was fun and great.
Like, we didn't have a bad day. I would agree with that. I would say, like, we didn't have a bad day. And by far, like, when I was posting these updates on things that we were doing, by far the question that I was being asked, because I was getting messages here and there, and I was telling you, I was like, oh, so-and-so messaged me. People are like, kind of like, how are you doing this? Like, how do you go about planning something like this, and how do you go about coordinating it, and like how did you figure this out? Like, how basically is the question.
Credit card points, baby.
For the cause, yeah.
Well, that's a how.
Girl
factors
math,
into
we
the how.
saved money, you guys. Like, that's what I have to say about that. But like, going along with that, one of those things is like how do you get it to where like the expenses don't all just like add up and like you figure all this out? I have like a really, really simple answer that I want to give, and then kind of pick Hayden's brain on it for you all. So my incredibly simple answer, and like the one response that sums up all of these questions and these points, is group travel. Literally, it's this most simple answer.
Shout out G Adventures.
It's the one answer to like answer all of those questions. Yeah, I booked a tour group, you guys. Like, we traveled with a big tour group. It is group travel, and for me, this is time number 4 of traveling this way, because Jesus Christ, I couldn't plan this shit on my own. I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah, you've mentioned that, and we know just with all the things that we did, we would not have gotten even close to the amount that we did while we were there, or enjoyed it as much if we didn't go the group travel route.
1000%. Like, y'all, the way that I could never have sat there, like, I genuinely think that there were people looking at my stories and seeing what we did who thought like I was out here booking our travel from city to city, booking hotels in every city for which days we were going to be there, and booking like our itineraries and tasks of what we were going to do and where we were going to eat. And you guys, I didn't do any of that. Like, I literally, like, I spent 0 time on any of that. And that's one of my favorite things.
I'm sure if anybody was watching your stories from afar thinking that like, oh my gosh, how like did you plan all this?
Yeah.
It would seem very impressive. And
And
not to say
I'm like a pro, and that's not the case.
Not to say that you don't deserve some credit with you pretty much took the reins when it came to booking the hotels, using our credit card points, which to say, guys, if you don't have a credit card and are spending responsibly and actually looking at if you want to travel, being able to do stuff like this, I will say we almost pay for the entire trip on credit card points.
Like girl math, we were saving money doing this trip. I swear to God.
Girl
math it.
Yes, but beside the point, back to the factor of the group travel. It looks like you have everything together from afar, but when you're in it, they do everything for you, and it is incredible.
And that's kind of what I want to break down for y'all. I want to spend this episode to kind of like explain what it is and what I mean like when I say it, give y'all some examples, and pick Hayden's brain, honestly, on his thoughts, like pros and cons, and how it really all goes, like the nitty gritty of like what's the reality of traveling with a travel group. So to kind of start from the beginning, there are, like, I'm breaking this down so basic because I don't feel like it's popular in the States. I feel like this is something that's popular in like other countries, or for like a lot of like 18-year-olds doing their year abroad and whatnot, and where I'll hear it from like people in the States who think that that's so wild and it's so crazy to like spend so much time abroad. And I feel like this is something I'd even said to you like when we were traveling, is like people do this. It seems uncommon where we come from, but I don't think like in some circles like it's not uncommon, and once you do it like once or twice or whatnot, I feel like you see that, and I feel like you got to see that a bit more too, where it felt much more normal because that was the people we were hanging out with. But group travel is, there's all these companies out there that sell itineraries where you'll be traveling with a group of other people who have signed up for it, paid for it as a package, and you have a guide. Like, you've paid for a guide to cart your group of people around through the itinerary, and they've coordinated where you're going to be staying, how you're getting from point A to point B, and you know where you'll be eating, what activities are included, and a bunch of optional activities as well. If you don't want to join the group or you want to go do your own thing, you can skirt off of the itinerary and come back, and all of those things. So traveling with a group is, you pay for it. You have the hotel of where to meet the group and what time to meet the group, and you get your flight and you show up. And that's basically, that's how it starts. That's what you do. You show up and you join the group.
Yeah, it really can be that simple.
And so we showed up, and there you have a bunch of other people that you meet, and these are people that you're going to get to like travel the world with and make memories with. Obviously, for us as English speakers, and if you've tuned in and are listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume you're also an English speaker, because it was so hilarious on our way there. Hayden even said to me, he was like, gosh, I hope this is in English. And I was like, babe, or like, I think you said, like, I hope these other people speak English. And I was like, well, I should hope so, since they signed up for an English tour.
Yeah, I didn't know it was even possible to go and seek these groups that are specifically English tours. No, it makes sense after, thinking about it after the fact, because that's a huge level of comfortability, convenience.
Well, it's like the tour guide, like they need to explain to you where you're going, what you're doing, where you are, like give me the context of like the city and the history. And
let's be honest, if our tour guides didn't speak English at all,
it's not that helpful.
No, I would say it's funny because we talk about all the benefits and how crazy the group travel is and how we wouldn't have done this trip any other way. It still would have been worth it, even if the group leader didn't speak a lick of English. Now, it would have provided it would have provided its obstacles for sure, and they would have had to have workarounds and things, but it still would have been worth it.
You're so right. And like, so I kind of want to go through like some of the massive benefits that stand out to this. So, I mean, from the beginning, planning the itinerary, right? Like, I, as mentioned, did not hunt down like hotels and read travel blogs about like where to stay and all of that, like you have recommendations from countless of people who've taken this trip and that they've done this time and time again, and these people have been to these cities and know their own recommendations. They've coordinated it for you. So I mean, that's to me one of the biggest benefits, and because of that, it feels so incredibly efficient with your time when you're there. You know, like you're not there trying to figure out how to spend your day, or how are you going to get from point A to point B, or can you fit in this tour and make it back for lunch, or like how are you going to be fed that day? All of that is just taken care of. It's off your plate. And so it just feels a lot more peaceful and relaxing of a travel. Like I wasn't walking around with a binder like, oh my God, we need to catch this bus at this time, or we're going to miss our hotel in this city. That we never even had to check into the hotel. We would be handed a room key.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the main benefits, it's the fact that you get to do so much in such a little time, wherein you would have just the unavoidable inefficiencies of not knowing the language, the area, the best connections, the best pricing to travel, hotel, restaurants, all that stuff. You miss out on so much time, so many experiences. There's no way around it.
And even every time we went to a new city, they would point out where the ATM is.
It was
like so easy. They were like,
everything
when we get there, the ATM's just around the corner, a block away.
Everything, all the way from the most important factors of transportation and where you're staying and things like that, all the way to things that never seem to end, but like the little things like
like they would tell us like, hey, your laundry will cost this much at this place versus this place. You should wait till the next place to do your laundry. ATMs, like the go-to, like not necessarily spots that we would be eating together as a group, but hey, you got to hit this spot for the best banh mi when you're over there. And we can talk about banh mi later, but it's a classic staple in Vietnam. I was going to say, we should probably back up and say where the hell we even just came back from, because I didn't even start there, you guys.
Probably a good idea, yeah.
So we traveled through Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and Singapore when we were gone.
Yes.
And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. She's having herself a field day with a water bottle.
She likes the plastic bottles. That was my water.
Well, she stole it.
It's all right.
And she's bringing it back for you.
Oh, thank you.
I think one of the things that people don't realize when it comes to group travel that I never saw happen so often than on this trip is the way that like you're not like you don't have to be married to the itinerary. Like if you want to stay, like for example, we did 21 days of a 40-day start to finish tour, and there were people who signed up for only like different legs of it because we went to multiple countries within this tour. So the whole group had people changing at different points of the travel, which I've never done anything like that. It was interesting, but it kind of keeps it fun because there's new faces and new personalities like coming and going. I never saw so many people like do their own things when it comes to the itinerary. Like if you want to stay an extra day in the city, you can, and you can just get your own make your own way to meet up the group in another city. Or like if you don't want to do the included activity today, instead you want to go to something yourself, you can. The tour guide will help you plan it and help you coordinate how and where you're going to meet back up with us. But like I feel like people get concerned like, oh well, what if I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be like married to that specific itinerary because it doesn't include this. Like you can kind of do your own build out.
Yeah, you're not tied to it. I would say that for a vast majority of people, you want to be tied to it, but it does provide some level of flexibility for plenty of opportunities to go off and do your own thing, technically meet them in a new city like we did at one point, because somebody over here didn't want to do the overnight train, which
it was a 1 hour flight.
1 hour flight compared to a 12-hour overnight train, but still, it provides some flexibility to do your own trip and organized trip.
And that, like you said, a lot of times you do want to stick to the itinerary because, again, these are tried and true recommendations of how to spend your time. And like I said, it's usually the most efficient way to see the most things. I mean, that's the goal of the itinerary they worked out.
Let's talk about I like how you use the word efficient. It's efficient. It's efficient. And I guess what I mean by that is if there is one downside to this specific tour, and there's hundreds of tours and so many different like reputable travel agencies, the one downside that I mentioned to you is if you're not ready for it, you move so fast and so often that it's hard to feel like you even got settled into a place. I mean, we talked about how the 21-day tour of this specific group, we ended up only 3, maybe 4 times where there's a place that we're staying for 2 nights. Everywhere else is 1 night. And I mean, it actually allowed for you to hit so many more cities and do so many more things. But as you know, packing up that often and moving that often, it takes a toll on you.
Absolutely. Okay, also, I will say one thing I wanted to mention about group travel too is, so I knew I wanted to do, like Hayden and I had some time that we could take, and so I wanted, if we were going to go that far across the world to Southeast Asia, take some time to be there. And so I knew that I wanted to plan a longer trip, like a month-long trip. And look, a month with 2 people can be a lot if you're traveling just you two, and the only people that you know and can talk to is each other. So that's like also one of the benefits and one of like the reasons why I wanted to do a travel group, because you're gonna make friends. These people from all over the world, you're sharing all of these cool new experiences with them, and you get to make friends, and you have people to hang out with, or like, you know, sit on the train with and have conversations over dinner. You get to have breakfast and dinner and share these conversations and meet people. And you know, it's funny because like we were learning about like Asia the whole time, but we were also learning about these other English speaking countries and cultures.
I feel like I've, what's the best way to say this? I got more insight to UK and Australian norms and kind of differences and things like that more than I ever have.
Yeah, because
I mean, how often do you spend 30 days every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day with people from a different country, unless you've roomed with them or studied abroad?
Yeah.
It was wild.
It makes the experience so cool. It like adds this extra element that you're like not expecting, and like you have people you can go out to grab a drink with if you want, or like people you can like leave the group with if you guys all want to go do this other activity instead.
I found a golf bro. Shout out to Peter if you hear this podcast. Peter was a true bro. He was he mentioned he had golfed before. We met up with him in the group, and we snuck out and played a Greg Norman and Jack Nicklaus course in Da Nang called The Legends, and it was a fantastic experience. I had my day, you had your day, and being with the group allowed for that. And
it's so true. Like 30 days with your partner nonstop, it just like, look, I could hang out with him every day, I do, but like it's just extra exciting when it's like, yeah, sure, maybe he wants to golf, so I went and like got coffee and shopped with some of the other girls. Like we got to do our own things and like be our own people too.
I think with this trip we didn't exercise that as much as shout out Alex and Lucy, who was a British couple that we were hanging out with quite a bit when we were there, and they're very well traveled, and they were, I think, 2 months into like 6 months of travel or something. And what I noticed was they found every opportunity they could to sit like away from each other on a bus or a table for dinner, or, you know, things that made sense where they could just say, I'm gonna take my space. They knew instinctively, or were very clear, I don't know if they communicated that to each other, but they were apart, and we didn't do that this time because we didn't need to.
No, I mean, there was a night when like you went bowling with people and I didn't join, and there was a day when like I wanted to go take the tuk-tuks out and like explore a few like sites of temples that you didn't join.
Two instances in 30 days.
There wasn't a ton, but like you have the option, and like, but I think where it really comes into play is it wasn't just you and me sharing experiences. Like it wasn't like you were the only person that I was chatting with, or like
we had
dinner, like we're
for the first
having
12
conversations.
days, we had 15 other people to talk to, and then after that there was like 12 other people to talk to, and by the end it narrowed the group. But yeah, plenty of other conversations to have and people to meet, and
it was really, really funny for me to watch my like very, very American husband interacting with some of these Europeans.
Yeah,
like it was
and embarrassingly enough, and Liv caught herself doing it a little bit too. It was crazy hearing how these Brits and Australians talk. I found myself saying fancy and like certain
you
words.
wanted to say naughty in like a normal way.
I was joking around how about they normalize the word naughty in
that.
UK.
Yeah.
They'll just normalize it in a non-sexual term.
No, Hayden's trying to say the loo, you guys. He was trying to
started
refer to
saying
the
the
bathroom
loo.
as the
I
loo.
was like, I gotta go to the loo.
He's like, I gotta go. I was like, Hayden, I don't feel like you and your like country twang accent can actually call things the loo.
It didn't feel right, but it was coming out because you hear them talk like that, and we all can admit that Brits just sound cool. So do Australians.
Yeah, absolutely they do.
Yeah. So
and like I will say too, it was hilarious. It's like the first actual activity with the group where we're spending the full day with them out on the boat in a Trang. And when we went, like we were supposed to go scuba diving, the water was a little bit like not the best for it that day.
It had rained the day before, so it was murky, but and chilly.
The people on the boat were playing West Virginia. What's the song called?
Take Me Home.
Take Me Home. Yeah. West Virginia.
John Denver. And the Asian boat guy starts blaring it, and he just looks right at me and Liv, and
like,
it's fully expecting us just to be singing it. I didn't really. I mean, I was vibing to it, but as soon as he looks at us, he was almost expecting like, oh, y'all like this shit too? And
we're not friends yet.
That happened
with people,
multiple times.
No, but this is the first day where we're out with the group, and we're not like exactly friends with people in the group yet. Like they haven't gotten to know us, we haven't gotten to know them. And my super American husband is on the back of the boat with this little Vietnamese man just swaying and singing Country Roads. And I'm like, if that isn't the most just scream, I'm the obnoxious, loud American on the trip, I don't know what is.
I disagree. I think that they were asking for it. Because he literally looked at me whenever he played it.
The boat driver, not our like soon-to-be friends who we hadn't gotten to know yet in the group.
Oh, yeah.
The group,
if they
no
didn't
one was
see,
even looking at Hayden. Everyone was like
face down. If they didn't see it unfold and just like the group guy on the boat basically pulling that and like pointing in our direction, if they didn't see that, then yeah, it screamed
so
loud,
American,
country American,
and it was like hilarious, and I loved it. But I feel like that's the thing about group travel is you're signing up where like even if you're a solo person traveling and you don't have like a partner to travel with, don't ever let that hold you back, because most people who join these tours are solo. You meet friends, and that's where I think it's like such growth, because like you can be alone like by yourself to choose what you want to do, but you will never be lonely on that. There's always somebody to run an errand with you, always somebody
not to
like
play the devil's advocate, but I did talk to one of the guys who's like, it gets lonely. It's just if you're
you can be I said alone but not lonely. Okay.
If there are very strong reasons to where if you're worried about being lonely or not making connections or not fitting in or whatever, that the group solves every one of those problems. But missing family, missing routines, missing people that you actually know on a really personal level, it can get lonely, especially on some of these people were taking 45-day tours. You're never alone. That's because of the fact that you have always one person to talk to out of 17 people, or branch off and go do something else with a couple, people. Certainly never going to be Steven Glansberg eating at a lunch table by yourself, for those who get the super bad reference. And it's just, it really feels like you're set up for success when you book these group tours.
Yeah, I feel like it reminds me of like, I don't know, like summer camp as a kid, where you got all these new friends that you're making, and you're like, ooh, new friends.
It does feel like that, but like amplified times 30, or times 4, because camp is a week and this was 30 days.
Yeah.
So
better.
Yeah.
what I'll say too is interesting about this tour group is we signed up for a group that was an age specific group of 18 to 30 somethings. So everyone was like younger in this group, and I knew like us going into it, I was like, okay, there's going to be 18-year-olds, right? Like
I didn't know how many there were going to be.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of like the gap year students. So I was like, so there's going to be 18-year-olds. There's going to be some 21-year-olds or whatnot, like in your young 20s, who are gallivanting across the world. I was like, I don't know how many people there will be our age, but I felt awesome and lucky that there was another married couple there. We were not alone.
Well, I want to speak to the 18-year-olds, and in my circles in the States, in the United States,
Thanks for the clarification on which states.
I can say that it's never been normalized in anyone I've ever talked to about a gap year at 18. People talk about, like 1 year in college or post-college is kind of normal and people wouldn't look the other way, but being 17 and a half, 18, and then going abroad is not very normalized. And you can tell abroad, in really, from what I could tell, the UK and Australia, it's not even accepted, it's encouraged.
At least from the people that we met. Of course, you're meeting and judging like those societies based off of people who are abroad. Like, we didn't go to their hometowns and meet them there. You're basing it off of people you've met who are traveling. And I'm giving that caveat because as an American who travels, I've met a lot of people who are like, I've met a ton of Americans. You guys are always doing this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, yeah, and you've never...
But are they 18 though?
No, but no. I'm saying, but these people have generalized me as an American before based off of Americans that they've only ever met abroad without ever having been to America. So I'm saying like it's the same thing. It appears to you that gap years are common because you only met people from the UK who are taking them.
I get that the sample size is small. However, the way that they spoke, the things that they said, and the conversations I had with these 18-year-olds, it was apparent that it's encouraged. It's honestly, it's like broadly accepted is what I understood.
And like, now that you've seen what it can be like too, because I feel like in the States, a lot of people get nervous about a gap year because it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're a kid, like safety, and are you going to be alone? And, you know, who's going to tell you where the ATM is, and make sure you get on your bus on time, or make sure that you wake up from the hangover from going out the night before and you're accounted for every day. It's like, if you have a tour guide, like, you're accounted for. Like, they're going to account for you and make sure that
every single place they do a head count.
They've seen you.
If anybody's ever worried about if it's affordable for when you're 18, I mean, it's not like cheap, but it's certainly this kind of travel is affordable for someone in a gap year, you know, being 18. It is safe because you have so many people around you who are looking out for you, and a group leader who is his only job is for your safety. And
did it change your opinion on like traveling when you're young, or like gap years or anything?
I try to look back and think, could I have done this at 18? And prior to this trip, I would have said, no, there's no chance that I could have gone at 18. Let's say finances were right. Let's say that I didn't have this yearning to immediately go to college, and it was kind of being encouraged by my parents. If everything checked the box, I don't know if I would have thought it was doable.
People don't think it's realistic.
Yes, realistic. But after this trip, I will say it's 100% realistic, because everything that we were exposed to, all of the safety measures and all of the organization to make it where it's kind of hard to mess up.
No, literally, like even the tour company that we were with, you know, they're even letting us know, like, okay, we're going to Thailand. You know, there's a lot of companies that unethically still have you ride elephants. Us as a company, we don't want to be part of it. So we recommend, you know, this day at this place instead, because they treat their elephants good and we vetted them and we've made sure, you know, it's like they guide you to make sure that you're also like an ethical consumer when it comes to travel, that you're not like getting yourself caught up in like schemes, because they want to make sure you're being well treated, even by the restaurants we're going to.
Well, even
you were their recommendation.
Absolutely. And you know, even to speak to a little bit more of the taboo things that they have kind of a zero tolerance about. If people aren't aware, Thailand and Southeast Asia is very much known for prostitution, and they make it very clear. I think the first thing that they said to us on the first evening was, you will get kicked out of this group if you dabble in any of that, or you do or you do any drugs or anything like that.
Well, I mean, they were even telling us like, there's kids who are going to come up and try to sell you things. Do not buy it from the kids, because if you do, then the families think, oh, you're good at making money, you shouldn't go to school. And they're like, we want the kids to go to school, so we don't buy
threaded the
things.
needle very well about protecting our safety and our best interest, and the culture and the area's best interest, while still like being very much down for a good time.
You would have had to like research a lot of that.
We partied, we did it safely, but we did not ever get in a place where I felt unsafe or like I was around any sketchiness or
I felt so safe.
Drugs or paraphernalia or anything like that.
So safe,
because they had a good practice in the group, and maybe other groups are different, but G Adventures certainly was good about that.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And so, give me like highlight of the trip from your perspective.
Like number one.
I don't know. Yeah, a highlight.
If I'm going to try to narrow that question down to just an experience more than just food or whatever, I would say top experience would have to be... I mean, the elephants is up there. The elephants is up there in Thailand, but that's not number one.
Too many to choose from, folks.
You
We're
will
so
help
blessed.
jog my memory.
So lucky.
We talked about how everything was just phenomenal.
We got massages in every country, kayaking, bunch of cave tours, some really cool caves, hiking, snorkeling, got tailor-made clothes, food tours. Oh my gosh, we got so much coffee in Vietnam. Coffee every day, all kinds of coffee, souvenir shopping. And we went to the Coochie tunnels and you shot the AK-47s. We did the elephants. We went to a Muay Thai fight, which was one of my highlights. I had so much fun. The Ladyboy show in Bangkok. That whole bike tour too in Hoi An, where we saw how like they even like make the rice. We did a lot of things. And it's just like blurring together.
The Muay Thai fight was probably my favorite. It's hard to put a favorite.
It was
probably
awesome.
Muay Thai, mainly because I don't think I've ever been to a live fight before. And
I want to go to more now. Now I'm like, oh my God.
And other than just never having been to a fight before, they had us front row. I mean, I could touch the ring. It wasn't a huge arena or anything. There's probably a couple hundred people in there. But the fact that we were sitting ringside at what is, I would say, arguably one of the most competitive places in the world for people who are amateurs at Muay Thai, but just beat the brakes off of anybody in the States.
You guys, we also went up there to like start the fight. Like our group went up and like I was one of the people that put the flower crown, like the lei on one of the fighters.
Yet another benefit of why the group tour was awesome, because all little stuff like, okay, we got a group that wants to go to the Muay Thai fight. They were enough interested, booked it, he got us front row, and next thing you know, he's like, hey, y'all are coming up to kind of kick off the fight. So we were in the ring with the fighters and getting it started, which was kind of weird. Cause
it's just so many of those little things.
I'm just standing there awkward with my hands crossed, like, yeah, let's do this thing. And you were like actually putting the what is it, lei?
I'm sure it's called something else, but that's what it was to me.
They all of them wear it, and it's like a practice that they do. But just to be ringside and watch these guys, I respect the sport so much, and you see it a lot in UFC and just fighters in general. There's a mutual respect for somebody else's skill. So you'll see somebody get absolutely tagged in the ribs by a hard kick. And then the person looks, the person who just got kicked looks up and smiles.
Oh, they were laughing.
Good kick.
I was literally that's what made it so much more enjoyable was like, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know that I'm actually going to be able to watch like these little kids get beat up. And because
they look
like
little kids because they're
like 20 years old, but like we're young, like too, like younger than me.
I think a lot of them were probably.
And so like I was like, oh no, I don't want to watch like this amateur fighter like who's just getting started, like it totally like
no.
They love. You could tell like the passion on their face. They were like looking at each other like, that was a good one.
Unfortunately,
like, let me see what you got.
There was
so
an
good.
American boy there, and he let us down. He was just a boxer.
Yeah,
but
we were chanting for him and
yeah,
everything.
he didn't make us proud.
No.
It's okay. He was out there trying, and he threw some good punches. But
he made it to Chiang Mai, Thailand for a fight, and that was pretty freaking cool for him.
It was very cool.
That was super cool.
It was incredible to see these guys go full speed, and we saw several knockouts in that fight, which I thought was cool.
Well, and I will say, okay, like not to like Muay Thai take this over, like a highlight across the board. When we were in Vietnam, our tour guide was calling ahead for like all of our hotels, telling them that it was mine and his honeymoon. Because when we got there, we were like, it's kind of our honeymoon. So like, we just want to make sure that we've got like a room together this whole trip. And all these hotels were like setting up like swan towels and rose petals of like all patterns on like all of our rooms. So it was that made it feel like a honeymoon for me. Like not like just that, but like the other people being excited to celebrate us, hyping us up like it's your honeymoon. And then like just like having like time together in the evenings like that made it, I felt like it was way more of a honeymoon than I actually really thought.
Shout out to our group leader, Kim, who was there with us all through Vietnam. He didn't have to do all the stuff that he did when it came to the towels in the hotel room and the cake that they sent out the last night at the bar that had, happy honeymoon on
Hayden
it.
And Olivia, it said our names and everything.
He didn't have to set any all that up, but he cared that we were celebrating our honeymoon, and it made it feel extra special. So thank you, G Adventures. Thank you, Kim, real OG. He's from Cambodia, and he's got a really cool story. I think he's been with them for several years.
Yeah. It's my long-winded 2 cents of like, if you're young, even if you're single, do not let it hold you back from traveling. Like there are ways to travel where you don't need a partner or a best friend who's down to go where you want to go and down to spend the money and the time on your schedule. If you can, you ought to, you should. There's so many benefits. And even if you're not young, but you like want to travel and you don't want to spend all the time making an itinerary and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg and all of your hours figuring it out, oh my gosh, do a group. This was my first age group. So all of my other tours had, people of all age ranges as part of it, and they were just as fun and entertaining, and like I don't know, the whole like enlightening about meeting people from different cultures. Like the perk is like you already have things in common with these people. You've all already decided to take this trip, and y'all already come from a background where you speak English.
It's very it's a smooth transition. And
y'all had to travel to get there. I feel like the first like conversation with people when you meet them, like in these groups, it's like, oh, like, how was your flight? Like literally,
there's some common ground and immediately where you get to say how are the travels are like for everybody and where the hell everybody's been, because as we found out, a lot of these people work 2, 3, 4 months into what is a year's worth of travel.
Yeah.
And we met these 18-year-olds that are taking a full gap year. Yeah. And as soon as they got done with our 21 leg day of the tour, had already done a week prior in Cambodia, and we're going to, I think, a month in Bali.
Yeah. There were people going to
Max
all
and
over Sophie that you're thinking of. Yeah. There were all kinds of people doing all kinds of itineraries, and that was what was cool to see. And, it just remains true. Like, people who travel, man, they travel.
Yeah, I got my beak wet, and I will say a month will be hard to do in the future. Not to say it's impossible. Mm-hmm. I would love to aspire to say that is going to be something we do prior to retirement. We're not going to wait until we retire to go for long trips again. Mm-hmm. But it opened up my eyes to what going abroad for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks can do just for world experiences. I would do that trip 10 times over again or 100 times over again, and I want to do another trip soon. What do we say? Not soon. Honestly, we talked about once every 2 years. let's set clear expectations here.
It makes me so excited and so happy because like this is something that I've loved to experience, and I feel like it's something you have to experience yourself for people to like get it. Like what travel, not like vacation.
We'd been to Greece.
It was a vacation.
You took me to Greece for 8 days,
and you loved it.
I loved it. It was just
But it wasn't this.
different. It wasn't this because there was a wedding there that we were there for, and there were several events surrounding that. It was just different. This was more explorative and
Planned out. You learned
a lot. And,
I felt like we were there too. Like you get more like local. Connections.
We were definitely submersed more into the culture and the area and everything like that.
But it was awesome. That was our 2 cents to fill you in on like our thoughts on group travel. I will have more coming with Rachel of a breakdown of, other 2 cents of the trip to come and to catch up with her next week for y'all. So thanks again for joining and listening. We appreciate y'all.
Thanks, everybody.